There's nothing like going on a date with a book. Whether it's an empowering read that expands my perspective or a story that captivates me, books are the friends that I look forward to seeing the most. When I wake up in the morning, I'm excited to read, and when I relax and get into bed at night, I'm excited to read. Having a hobby that adds so much meaning and value to my days has truly changed my life. If you're not a reader, maybe you just haven't quite found the right book yet. But in today's video, I simply want to share with you how reading changed my life. So if there's an inkling of curiosity that inspired you to click today's video, then maybe you are meant to hear this today. People often walk past me when I'm reading a book, and they'll stop and be like, "I wish I read. Good for you. I would like to read, but I can't read. I try to read for like 5 minutes, and then I get bored. I just can't focus on a book." All of those different things people say. And while some people may find it really hard to concentrate on a task, I would also argue that most people who say that are just not reading the right book. Because if you're reading a book that you actually enjoy, you don't even want to put it down. Most people who say that probably haven't actually read any books that genuinely interested them. When there is a book that is so intriguing for whatever reason, whether it's a nonfiction informational book that is really benefiting your life and teaching you concepts that you never knew before, or a fictional book that's really interesting and takes you into another world. When you find a book like that, reading becomes one of the most enjoyable hobbies. Now, I'm not saying that every single person would enjoy reading if they started reading, but I do know that I used to not think that I enjoyed reading either, because I never really had the desire to read fictional books. But when I started getting into topics that really interested me and benefited my life, that's when reading became one of my favorite pastime activities. This video is not even about me convincing anyone to start reading. I'm actually just going to talk about how reading changed my life for the better. I would honestly argue that reading is probably the #1 thing that has changed my life. And all of the knowledge that I share on this channel, I would say a good chunk of it is from my own experience and intuition, but also a huge chunk of the stuff that I share on this channel is just things that I simply learned through books, things that anyone could learn. And that's really the main reason why reading changed my life so much, is because knowledge is power. We all want to have power in this life. And there are often times when we feel powerless, whether it's because of our circumstances, or maybe we can't even afford to get an education. But books are a way to self-educate. 4.5 years ago, I was extremely lost in life. After only reading a few books, I suddenly had a mission for my life. I suddenly had a purpose. I suddenly had a reason to wake up every day because I was excited to keep learning and developing myself as a person. Beginning to read these books just forever changed the trajectory of my life, and it made me hungry for more information. It made me hungry to learn more and to grow more. And here I am today making videos about personal development because it's my passion. So I would say that the #1 way in which books changed my life was they expanded my awareness. Some books have decades of wisdom in them. The authors of these books went through decades of learning and making mistakes and gaining all of this wisdom and clarity just to simplify it, pack it up, and put it in this book, this piece of knowledge, this piece of wisdom that you can read in a few weeks and just have your entire life shifted by one piece of literature. That's just so crazy to me. I don't know. And that's why I appreciate books so much. They're so powerful. For example, do you ever hear someone say a really profound quote, and for some reason that quote just kind of changes your life in some way, and you always remember that quote as you go throughout your life? Well, when you start reading, that happens like almost every time you read. And it definitely feels as though I'm privileged to be able to even access that knowledge. Reading changed my life because it made me wise beyond my years. Personal and spiritual growth is so huge now, and so many other people are on this same journey, so definitely not saying that I'm better than anyone or that I know more than anyone at all. I'm really just saying this to inspire anyone who hasn't started reading yet. You have the power to also be wise beyond your years. I know that nowadays a lot of people inspire to be entrepreneurs, but you may not think that you have a valuable skill to add to the world, or maybe you haven't discovered yet, or maybe you haven't learned it yet, right? But it's so powerful to know that if you want to gain a certain type of skill to share with the world, to add value to the world, and to receive monetary success from it, you can likely learn almost anything that you need to about that skill through books. It's very important to apply the knowledge that you learn from books as well. Knowledge is only real power when you apply it to your life. Reading forever changed my life because it brought joy and excitement to my life when I felt like I had nothing to be excited and joyful about. I'm not saying that my life was super hard. I'm just saying that I had really bad depression. Like, this was all my own mental blocks. I had barely any passions or hobbies, and suddenly I had this new hobby that I was so excited to do every day. Literally, it was a reason to be excited to wake up in the mornings. And I know that the things that I'm talking about in this video are more so related to nonfiction educational books, but this can also be the case for people who love reading fiction books as well, because fiction books can also carry these profound messages that really help our lives. They can also be entertaining to read. They can make us feel creative again. They can inspire us. They can provoke new ideas within us. They can take us into a different world, one that we've never experienced before. So nowadays, reading is one of my favorite pastimes. I love reading. I get so excited to buy new books. And also, if you are looking to buy books, I feel like we don't think about this enough, like how much paper it takes to print a book. And so if you want to buy books more sustainably, what I've been doing lately is buying them on thriftbooks.com. Not only are they way cheaper on there, but all of the books that I've gotten there have been in fine condition. Like, they might have just had a few marks on them, which I don't mind at all. If you rather get them on Amazon, there's almost always a used option on there as well. Thrifting books or buying them from a small business is always great as well. I absolutely love walking through bookstores and just seeing the endless possibilities of new things that I could learn, things that I could read, other worlds that I could be taken into. It's honestly just inspiring. So basically, this video was just about how reading has changed my life. I'm not trying to convince anyone to read, but I will say, if you are someone who hasn't really read much before and you've kind of been thinking about it lately, this is your sign to do it, and really set the mood for reading your book too. Go to a cute coffee shop, or go to your favorite park, or light some candles and play some jazz music in your room. Just make it an enjoyable experience. And now you may be wondering what kind of book recommendations I have for you. I mean, it really depends on what you're looking for, and there's honestly many books that I could talk about, but I think that one of the books that I always recommend to people, no matter what, I feel like this can universally help almost everyone, is Eckhart Tolle's books. Whether you read A New Earth or The Power of Now, those books are so incredibly profound. And the reason why I feel like they are beneficial to almost anyone, why those are the first that come to mind when I think of recommendations, is because they're just about the importance of living present in the moment. But let me just share with you what I'm currently reading. I'm currently reading 2 different books. I usually read a few different books at a time just because I'm not reading fictional stories. I'm usually just reading educational or inspirational literature. So I do like to switch it up because, for example, like some of the things that I'm reading sometimes are pretty heavy. You know, maybe I'm reading about the effects of trauma on the body and things like that. So I don't really want to read that in the morning. I want to read something positive in the morning. Maybe like You Are a Badass at Making Money. You know what I mean? But the books that I'm reading right now are The Mastery of Love, which I'm sure you recognize this cover because it's the same author who does The 4 Agreements, and I'm pretty sure like everyone has read that book. I actually have not read that book myself, but I really love this Mastery of Love book so far. And I do think I actually want to start making videos just devoted to a particular book and the concepts that I learned from that particular book. So let me know if you're interested in seeing that. I would definitely read this if you are struggling with love in some way, whether that is self-love or whether you are struggling in relationships. And then the other book I'm reading right now is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And this one is obviously just very much like mindset rather than, you know, spirituality and things like that. But I actually have been really enjoying this book because I guess, you know, with self-help books, sometimes a lot of it can be repetitive or concepts that you already have heard of before and you don't really want to hear again. I do feel like the things that he says in this book is different than other self-help books, and that's why I like this book. Some of it is stuff that I know, but a lot of it are things that I haven't really thought of in that way. It's definitely just a fresh perspective. So I'm really enjoying this book so far. So that is all I have to share with you. in this video today. I hope that it resonated. Thank you so much for being here. If you enjoyed the video, then leave a comment below or like this video. That really helps support me. And also subscribe to my channel if you would like to see more of my content, if you like the things that I have to say, if you are also on a journey of personal growth and healing, I would love to have you here. But other than that, I really hope that I see you in my next video. Sending you all the good vibes, and I hope you have a beautiful, positive rest of your day.